Jordan, when an agent goes and they do a listing video, is that video to sell the house or is that video to sell the agent?
That's a fantastic question. There's definitely a mantra in our industry as real estate media providers that photos sell the home, but video sells the realtor. So I do believe that while the video obviously does help sell a home, there's way more benefit to the agent and their personal brand by doing video.
Awesome. Hey, I am thrilled to have in today Jordan Ashley, who is one of Kansas City's top photographers and videographers in the real estate space. Jordan, thanks for coming in today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your business. You've been doing this for 5 years in Kansas City?
That's right. 5 years. Started this during COVID. So it's kind of a COVID baby, and started as a solo photographer, just kind of trying to make a living with my camera. And thankfully, over the past 5 years, I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of success and meet a lot of new clients. And I've kind of scaled this business up now to where we're doing over 2,000 listings a year. I have 5 photographers on my team out doing shoots every day, and then a couple of admin staff helping me kind of put it all together in the back end as well.
Wow, that's impressive. So how many shoots on average a day does your team do?
We do on average close to 15.
Wow, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So I want to talk today a little bit about, photos and videos for listings, but I want to talk more importantly about real estate agents, their marketing, how that ties into what you do. But you don't just focus on houses, because I see you out doing, some other community type related videos with agents. So I know you're very in tune with the marketing space, the video space, and the real estate space. So I want to try to bring some value to our viewers and our listeners out there today on that. But let's dive into this. What's the number one thing right now that buyers are responding to in 2025 visually when it comes to real estate marketing?
Yeah, I'd say video for sure is what helps a realtor stand out, kind of like we were just talking about. The photos are a must, and then our number one add-on is definitely video, and specifically video where that agent puts their face on camera, kind of talking about the listing, leading with a fun hook, hopefully, to kind of build interest and generate that interest. And then kind of just showing their clients that they're going to go to bat for their sellers. And then I think, like you said, buyers really respond to that as well, because a listing video nowadays, if you're following all that stuff or you're a buyer just scrolling through Zillow or the MLS, you're going to see a ton of generic listing videos. And so by simply putting your face on camera, I believe you interrupt that pattern very quickly, and it makes people want to tune in and see what this person's going to talk about, what their unique personality is, and stick around to see the rest of the house after.
So if an agent's not doing a lot of video right now, they're not comfortable being on video right now, do you and your team, do you work with them and coach them? And how do you break them of the habit of being like, "Hi, I'm Kevin Mokel. Welcome to my newest listing at 123 Banana Street." Because you mentioned, and this is music to my ears, because I've preached this for years, but you mentioned the hook at the beginning of the video, which is so important. I mean, this isn't 2015 anymore. We've got to change the way we do things. So how do you handle agents that aren't comfortable on video to help get them comfortable on that agent intro?
Yeah, great question. We work with a ton of new clients that have never been on video before, and we're usually kind of their first foray into that space. And so first off, we have to approach it with a lot of compassion and sensitivity. People are afraid to get on camera for all sorts of reasons, whether it's, physical insecurities or speech insecurities, or maybe they just, couldn't find a way to get prepared and create a script for their listing. And so we start off by just being very encouraging, like, hey, we're, going to do this, short intro. It only has to be 20 to 30 seconds. We can take as many tries as necessary to make the final product one that you're happy with. And we're going to coach you along the way. And so we usually let them get one take out of the way with that goes pretty quick, or maybe it goes a little too long. And then our next step there is like, hey, like, that was great. You messed up kind of at the end because it was just too long, and we don't need to add that much information. And so we'll kind of coach them that direction, coaching them to make it a little shorter, more concise. And if they're really open to coaching, kind of breaking away from the script, like you said, the general script, which is, hey, this is my name, this is the address, this is the beds, baths. Stuff which we're learning in our industry now is just extraneous and not interesting. So even putting your face on camera, but then leading with that, that's also going to be probably a quick reason to swipe away from that video. So we usually coach them like, what's the one or, one, two, or three most important and intriguing parts of this listing? Say that at the very front, and then you can kind of fill in the back half with any, necessary details you want to include, like beds, baths, or school district. So that's kind of how we approach it. And it's really just making people feel comfortable, encouraging them, being honest and telling them that they did mess up or that their hair was blowing all funky in the wind, and that we want to make sure they look good at the end of the day. And so not just letting them get by with something that they thought might be good, but we kind of knew in the background, like, oh, it looked a little funky.
Yeah. So back to the hooks, because I think it's really, really important. Give me just an example, whether it's generic or real life example or two of some really good hooks that an agent has done with you or your team over the years.
Yeah. So definitely kind of starting from what the coolest feature of the house is. If it has a pool, that's an easy gimme. It's like, instead of saying, hey, welcome to this house, it's got a pool in the backyard, your first line should be something like, how would you like to host your family and friends for a barbecue this summer poolside at your new home in Olathe? That's something that's going to immediately kind of capture some interest, because you're putting the potential buyers kind of in the shoes of living in that house and kind of connecting an emotion and a feeling to the video versus just running through the stats.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's an easy one. For the homes that don't have like some major feature like a pool or whatever, location is also a really good one to do. Like, I live in Brookside, for instance, so we shoot a lot of listings there. And a lot of our coaching goes to, how would you like to live steps away from all the finest dining, coffee shops, and retail that Brookside has to offer? And we'll often even get a little creative by starting with the agent and filming them walking down, Brookside Boulevard, or walking out of the roastery with a cold brew in hand. Yeah.
So, and I've seen those, and I think that's a phenomenal way to start the video, not in front of the house, because people aren't expecting someone walking out of a shop, walking out of a coffee shop, so on and so forth, and it being a listing video. So absolutely spot on. Love that stuff. What are buyers and sellers, what are sellers, looking for when it comes to marketing their homes today?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think sellers are looking for an agent that can kind of bring the whole package. I kind of have a feeling these days that realtors who are like, yeah, we're just going to do the basic 25 photo package for your listing, doesn't probably get a lot of sellers really excited, especially when they're interviewing multiple agents and kind of have their pick of who seems like they're going to do the most to help their house get sold. And so definitely kind of getting a more comprehensive media package that includes video, maybe drone, maybe a floor plan, as well as kind of showing the seller what this agent is going to do with that media. Where are they going to post it? Is it just going to be the MLS and Zillow? Is it going to be on their Facebook? Is it going to be on their Instagram? Is it going to be on their TikTok? So I think coming to the table with like a very comprehensive media package and plan to execute with all that media is probably what's going to get a seller very excited to choose you as their agent. And that's kind of where I'm, looking towards, and kind of how I'm coaching our clients as well.
Are you seeing it right now with agents and potentially sellers if they're voicing their opinions on this? Are you doing the traditional horizontal kind of slow cinematic walkthrough videos? Are you doing, I call it the TikTokification of listing videos, so that the very fast-paced speed ramps, vertical videos? Are you doing both?
We're doing both.
Okay.
We have 3 different types of videos that we offer. One is kind of a walkthrough style video where it's a one take through the interior. It almost appears as if you're flying through the home. And that's a great way to get a quicker piece of content that's going to show the whole home, but it's going to lack a little bit of the bells and whistles. We also do a cinematic style of video, which is multiple clips of the interior and the exterior with drone as well. And that can kind of be a little slower, more smoother and cinematic. And then we have a premium version of that as well that has a lot of cool premium editing tricks to it where we are doing those quick speed ramps, zooming in and out of the home, getting a little squirrely with the orientation of the camera, adding some of those, lightning effects or text effects that kind of, again, break that pattern that your brain is usually used to seeing. And then we allow our clients to choose vertical or horizontal for all three of those types of videos. So if they're going to prioritize posting that video to the MLS or Facebook or on their website, where they're probably going to have most of their viewers watching from a computer screen, we usually recommend horizontal, especially if they're going to post that to their YouTube as well.
Mhm.
But if their priority is social media and kind of making a splash there, then of course we're going to recommend vertical because that's going to take up the most real estate on the screen. And that's what's going to make people more prone to stop their scroll because they got a big, nice piece of vertical content fit perfectly for that medium. And that's just optimal for viewing there.
Perfect. Perfect. When you're working with agents, what are some of the marketing traits that set the top agents apart from everyone else? What have you seen over the years that really, and again, just let's focus on the marketing side of things. What are the top agents doing differently than everyone else?
I think the top agents are being present, kind of just period blanket statement, but very present on the internet and on social media, where most of us these days are spending the majority of our time. And so people who are consistent about posting their content, whether it's listing media, whether it's a branding video, whether it's a market update or what have you, people that are constantly showing up in the spaces that we're, hanging out in email inboxes and other place where we're also spending a lot of time in. And so I think the top agents that we work with, one common denominator is that almost all of them have a very, good and solid online presence, or at least are trying. I think just trying and just being consistent, regardless of like the production value or quality of that media, is just as important.
Yeah. So full transparency, we both attended an event in Kansas City yesterday with Jason Pantana, who's kind of the head of marketing for Tom Ferry's coaching organization. And the message I took away from that with AI being discoverable on AI. Do you remember the stat that he said that NAR put out there? How many people are starting or utilizing AI in their home search? Remember that it was,
I want to say it was 82%.
82%.
Yeah, something way bigger than I would have ever imagined.
But what you just said a minute ago, which I think is super important for agents to think about, it's not just social media and being on 2 or 3 platforms. With the introduction of AI and people going from search to ask, so asking AI for suggestions, recommendations, you have to be absolutely everywhere right now. And you have to be in places that you don't think before you had to be in. And so the world is changing. If you haven't taken classes on AI and things like that, I'm going to highly urge you to do so because it's no longer just we've got to be on 3 social media platforms. We've got to be everywhere because the world's changing and the search habits of your prospects are changing. So, agree? Did I miss anything there?
No, I totally agree. And that was kind of a light bulb moment for me too. And, all the realtors were searching on Chat GPT, the exercise he had everyone do to see if they showed up and specifically what sources were telling the AI to pull from to get that recommendation or that blurb. And I looked up, best real estate photographers in Kansas City. And I hate to say I didn't even crack the top 5 when it came to what Chat GPT had to say. So I definitely have some work to do there to make sure we show up in the ask and not just the search, because we do well on Google. And then Chat GPT and all the other models, that really never occurred to me. So I'll definitely be spending some time in getting some more content out on the internet that will allow the AI to pull from. Because right now it's just, my website essentially and just one page, and that's my bio page. So probably not really cutting.
No, we all have some homework after listening to Mr. Pantana, Professor Pantana yesterday. So that was a ton of information. Absolute ton.
It certainly was.
But it was a good investment of my time. So What are agents out there doing? We talked about what the top agents are kind of doing to separate themselves from a marketing standpoint. What are agents doing from a marketing standpoint to hurt themselves right now?
That's a great question. I would probably say what they're not doing is posting or sharing enough of their personal life on their platforms, meaning, sure, you might get a lot of listing media and you're posting houses and houses and houses and houses, but marketing is all about building that know, like, and trust, as we know. And people are not going to connect your personality with a video or a photo of a house. And so I think it's kind of counterintuitive. You think I have a business profile, I need to post solely business things. But I think it's hugely powerful. And I think science and statistics prove that sharing part of your personal life on your socials and on your other platforms in order to show people what you like, what your interests are, and to attract those same like-minded and like-interested people is crucially important.
Cool. Any other tips for agents that you see in areas that they need to improve on besides that? Anything that, and I don't want to pick on them, but I want to help them. So what else are they doing out there that you're seeing that you don't like, you kind of cringe?
Yeah, I would say another thing is we have agents buy, some of our bigger listing media package that comes with, one, two, or three videos. And I'm kind of interested to see how they're utilizing all of this media that we create for them. And I'll go to their platforms and realize that they've only posted one of the videos, or even if they've gotten just one video, they've only posted it one time. And, this media is meant to be shared over and over and over again. And I think there's another stat that if you make a post, your audience, the percentage that's going to see it is only around 20 or 30%, maybe even less than that. So there's no harm in posting the same video. Maybe just switch up the caption just to, make it a little fresh. But there's no harm in posting that video, one, two, or three times in the same week, especially if you've got a go live date and you're trying to get eyeballs on your listing. I would just slam that same listing video that you paid for multiple times and try to get as many eyeballs on it as possible and get the most value for your money out of it.
Yeah. What about on the photo side? Because there's still a lot of agents that aren't doing videos on their listings, and I think some listings have to have a certain price point maybe to trigger that.
Totally.
And so I get that, but what mistakes are agents making on the photo side besides taking their own photos? And yes, I know it's in the real estate world, it's kind of the running meme or the kind of the running joke, but I surf a lot of Zillow porn.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a house in Colorado, and so I'm always looking at places in Colorado. And in rural Colorado, there's not a lot of you guys running around out there. And so agents are using their cell phones, taking photos. And so I see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I do see a lot of ugly. But from a photo standpoint, what do agents need to work on? What do they need to consider when they're working with a professional like you?
I would say, and this is kind of very near and dear to my heart, or some of my pain points, is getting the home photo ready. And so, yes, you're going to stand out by having a professional photographer come take your listing photos, but the state that the house is in when we arrive needs to be at a level that's going to reflect in the photos. We can do a lot in editing these days to kind of help out, but the photo shoots where, we're not in there moving couches and pulling, kitty litter around the corner to get the photo shoot done. The ones that we arrive and the agent has obviously been there for the last hour working with their sellers, kind of rolling up their sleeves and just making sure everything is tip top. Those are easily the shoots that we have the best results on because we're able to focus solely on the creative aspect of taking the photos and finding those, nice angles that kind of create an emotion because we're not distracted by some of the other things like, pets and dogs running around us or clutter needing to be moved around the corner for each shot.
Yeah. Toilet seat up or down?
Toilet seat down 100%. That's the first thing I teach my new photographers as far as home prep goes.
Cool. Do you do any coaching? I just put a post out on this recently. Do you do any coaching with your agents on the order profile that they upload their photos into MLS? Because I keep seeing people are not putting the best picture #1 in the MLS. And we're in a world right now where you said it earlier, if they see a picture, if it's not going to grab them, boom, they're on to the next listing as they're, surfing Zillow porn, for example.
Yeah, that's a great question. I just did see your post about this on Facebook, which really got my wheels turning because we generally deliver all photos. We may take photos out of order. We may start in a basement or a backyard, but we always deliver front exterior, front entry, main highlights like living and kitchen, primary bedroom, upstairs, downstairs, back. And so that post that you made really got my wheels turning about what should be that lead photo. We just always kind of intrinsically think it needs to be that front straight on exterior, but I agree with you that it should be whatever you think is going to get people to stop and pause and maybe take an extra look at that listing.
Yeah. I mean, if they've got a beautiful pool, that may be the no-brainer. I mean, I would start there versus the front of the house, but that's just me. That's my opinion. So
yeah, no, I would 100% agree. And I use that logic in some of our videos where we might get an edit request like, hey, the video didn't go in the exact order of front door, the dining room next door. And I tell them like, hey, we kind of edit our videos in a fashion to where we're going to show the key highlights first, because if we're posting to social media, we only have a couple seconds to grab attention. And if we're just going in the same order that our brain is constantly used to seeing, we might not get that attention that we're looking for.
Yeah. What are some must-have shots that you always try to include if possible for your clients?
Photos or video-wise?
Let's stick with photos.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Some of the key shots, we kind of have a pretty prescripted shot list. We shoot from the corner so we can show a lot of space and show flow in and out of rooms. And so that's kind of a strategy that we use there in order to connect the rooms between photo to photo. But a couple really cool photos that we almost always try to get is what's known as a single point perspective, or just something straight on in easier terms to explain. And that usually is either pointed at a mantle and fireplace in a nice living room, and then maybe right over the island in kind of an open concept kitchen.
Okay.
And that's because it's more editorial style. Real estate and, magazine quality photos, if you look closely, they're quite a bit different. It's really not the same thing. And so you'll see a lot of single point perspective angles in, architecture and design and, the Casey Design magazine, for instance. And so we always try to throw a couple of those in there in order to kind of break up what we're used to seeing for listing photos and kind of have something that's a little bit prettier, even though it might not show the space as wide as possible.
What about on video? Same question. Is there kind of some must-haves that you try to get in a lot of your videos besides what we talked about? Obviously, the agent being a key ingredient, especially today in 2025, having that agent in the video.
Yeah, good question. I think, myself and everyone on our team loves flying the drone. It's one of our favorite things. And so in kind of that shot list for almost all of our videos, we start with a kind of nice high and wide perspective shot that's kind of showing the house, we're so high, it looks a little bit smaller, but we're showing the entire context of the neighborhood. And that's really typically a lead shot in most of our videos. And then kind of behind that, I think one of the best shots you can show now in a video is what we call the detail shot. And so in our cinematic style videos, where we do multiple shots in the interior of the home, we'll actually put on a zoom lens or something with a longer focal length. And that way it's not that typical wide real estate shot that's just showing so much of the house. It's something really zoomed in and keyed in on a design feature or an architectural feature of the house. And that really provides a pattern interrupt, but a kind of more emotional shot. You're like, ooh, that looks nice. I don't know why, but like we got a blurry foreground object here, and then we've got a really nice, stone fireplace and the fire's on. And we might be like 30 feet away from it where we're shooting, but the zoom makes it kind of up close and personal. And it creates a really nice emotion and feeling in our videos.
Okay. Virtual staging, yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay? Okay.
I think it's nice for vacant homes specifically, where every room in the house is vacant because the seller's already moved out, or maybe it's a flip. I think doing it in just two or three key rooms, like the living room, the dining room, and the primary bedroom, helps to show what that space could look like.
Okay. All right.
And the technology now is getting to a point where it does look
Looks
pretty
good.
dang
It does.
realistic.
Yeah, yeah. And that's evolved very quickly. Region specific question on that. In Kansas City, do real estate agents, do they have to disclose if it was virtually staged?
They do.
Okay. All
It
right.
does not have to be like a watermark on the photo or anything, but they do have to put in the listing description, I believe, that one or more of these photos has been virtually altered.
Yeah. And check with your MLS because I know in a lot of other states, a lot of other associations, MLSs, you do need to disclose that as well. So that's not just a Kansas City thing. So check with your broker, check with your association or MLS on that.
Yeah.
So,
And with what AI can do these days, that line is, I think, going to become a little bit more muddy. And so that's definitely something you all as realtors and us as media providers need to be considering before, we type in a prompt, it creates a beautiful virtual twilight, but you don't look closely enough to notice that it changed the shape or the style of every single window in that photo, and then you're misrepresenting the property.
did you go home last night after the event that we went to and jumped on Google VO and tried to make a box drop from the ceiling and furnish a room? Because I did. I really did. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was so cool. And that's actually something my assistant and I have been experimenting with for the past couple weeks. It was just kind of a pet project that we took on. I got a Higgsfield account and I already have an Envato account, which are just video element and now AI element platforms that you can experiment with all those things. And so I've had my assistant who helps us with our editing to do some of that dynamic virtual staging, and there's all sorts of crazy stuff you can do. You can make houses explode. You can do the helicopter reveal. You can, do all sorts of funky things. And so we're in that pet project trying to figure out how we can do this to add value, not get too crazy and distasteful.
Yeah.
But add value to our videos with that technology.
How much is too much on that, especially in the video side? Because Instagram, for example, is kind of the algorithms dialed in on me right now that I am getting a ton of not listing videos, but I'm getting professionals like you that are editing listing videos and it looks like hours are going into these things. How much is too much on this stuff? And are we near the ceiling, or when it comes to listing videos, we still have a ways to go?
That's a good question. I'm very dialed into what real estate videographers are doing nationwide. I'm in various Facebook groups and masterminds. And there's definitely a conversation happening now to where like people, one well-respected editor and producer in that Facebook group who everyone knows, his kind of take recently was that by doing these like crazy, outrageous AI videos, yes, they're cool. Yes, they might get a lot of views. But what we really got to tune into is who is viewing the video and who is liking the video. And for a realtor, by posting these awesome videos, the people that like them the most are other videographers. And so we're always, my competitors in this area who do some incredible videos, we're always on each other's Instagrams being like, dude, that was sick, or hell yeah, that was an awesome video, or like that transition was so cool. But a lot of that attention is coming from us videographers and not actually people interested in the house. And so his theory that he's positing is that agents nationwide are now training their algorithms to target basically video nerds like myself and not actual buyers or sellers. And so to get back to your question, I think we are at a little bit of a ceiling to where the exploding houses, the helicopter stuff, it's getting to be a little bit too much and it's not helping you target the right audience.
No, I like that. Do you think, tying into that question, do you foresee over the next, let's say, 12 to 24 months, any other big changes coming down from real estate media, whether it's photos or videos, because let's rewind 5 years ago when you first got started. I'm sure the content you're making today is dramatically different than the content you were making 5 years ago.
Mm.
Do you see, or in your masterminds, are you guys talking about some changes that are coming down in the next 2 years agents need to be keeping an eye out?
Yeah, that's a good question as well. As far as what's coming down the pipe and that time scale, I think a lot of it is going to be AI driven, and it's kind of like still a big question mark. And like, how far AI has come in just the past 12 months is incredible. There were times where removing some big objects from a photo, like a car in the driveway or a pod in the driveway, was like, I'm going to have to charge you 30 or 40 bucks for just one image to do that because it's going to take me a ton of time, or an editor is going to charge me 30 or 40 bucks to do
Yeah.
that. Whereas now with generative AI in Photoshop, it only takes a couple minutes to do and do it well. And so I think it's just going to be a constant adaptation of where we are in the next 6-12 months, every 6 to 12 months, to see what AI is doing. But another trend I'm seeing in the real estate videography groups as well is also getting back to basics a little bit and not having stuff be so quick and crazy and what the heck and how did that happen and where are we now, and really kind of dialing back to more cinematic, like Hollywood and TV style footage. Like visual effects have been a thing for forever, and experts have been able to accomplish some pretty cool things if you've seen Star Wars or Avatar or whatever. But ultimately, the content that we all want is something based in realism and something that just makes us feel good or happy or thoughtful when we watch it.
So agents out at a listing, maybe they're getting ready to do an open house and they want to do a little video, maybe highlight one room, maybe highlight two rooms. They're not doing a complete walkthrough. What tips do you have for them so that they can pull off a good looking and good sounding video that doesn't require a ton of editing on their part?
Yeah, great question. And I do enjoy coaching clients on how to make their own content because, for that kind of thing, it doesn't make sense to hire us to come out for 10 minutes and, mic you up and
Yeah.
take a video, go home, wait 24 hours to edit it when you can just have it on your phone and done in 10 minutes. And I think what I always come back to in terms of getting something quality that might not otherwise be there is considering lighting and audio, like you mentioned. And so for audio, that just means getting a microphone that you can put close to your face. There's $25 Amazon clip-on mics that just Bluetooth connect to your phone. And so your phone can be way out here where our cameras are. And so you can set your phone up on another, affordable tripod. You can walk into that room, explain the details of your open house, do a little dance or whatever your kind of hook or trend is that you think is going to be funny, a Chiefs theme or whatever it may be. And then the second thing being lighting. If you just consider, you don't need a ring light or all sorts of fancy gear that you need to haul around. Just consider where the window light is coming in and kind of use that as what's known as a key light, just basically your main light hitting your face. And if you just stand in the right place compared to where you put your phone, and if you have that microphone close to your mouth, I mean, even this far away on your iPhone mic can sound
Starts to get, yeah.
kind of funky. But if you're this close to your microphone, it's going to sound nice and warm and crisp. And so just considering those two things, having that $25 just add-on mic and then utilizing the light that you have to work with just from the sun is going to really dramatically increase your DIY videos.
What's more important in that situation, the lighting or the sound?
I would say sound.
I agree.
And I think that's a pretty consensus opinion. No one's going to stick around to a video if you're talking and they can't hear you or understand you, or it sounds tinny, or it sounds like you're a mile away. Even if it looks beautiful, our ears are going to tune that out pretty quick.
Perfect. All right. I want to start to kind of bring the plane down. I've got some rapid fire questions, but before I get to that, if agents want to find you, talk to you about their business, book you for some shoots, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have a business phone number. We have a business email. Email is just hello@jordanwyattashly.com. Super simple. We have a website that has tons of information from all of our products, all of our pricing, multiple places you can find a book now button that'll take you directly to our order page. So if you're a seasoned realtor and you just need some photos or need some video, you can go directly to that page, type in the address, see our entire menu of products, select exactly which ones you'd like, and then the calendar is going to appear that shows the real-time availability. So I had someone call the other day and asked if we could come by and like give them a quote in person. And I was like, oh, no one's ever asked me that before. Like, we make it way more simple than that.
Yeah.
And so that's the easiest way to do it. And then again, we're always available via phone, via email, via DMs. Our Instagram is at Jordan Wyatt Ashley as well, where you can see a ton of the content that we're putting out. And yeah, just shoot us a DM, give us a call. I love consulting new clients on what type of media to get for their listings and why, based on what type of listing it is. So, yeah, that's the easiest way to find us.
And we'll put this on in YouTube and both on the podcast in the description. I'll have Jordan's phone number. We'll put his website URL on there as well so that you can reach out to him. But yeah, Jordan Wyatt Ashley. Excuse me. Let's try that again. Jordan Wyatt Ashley. See, this is why I like to do the podcast in the morning.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm like, yeah. But .com, and check out his Instagram page, because what you're going to find is they do an amazing job at reposting a lot of their clients' videos. And these are the videos where it goes back and you've got the agent introductions that we were talking about, kind of like at the beginning of the pod today. So you can kind of get a sense of what other agents are doing for these intros. And please, please, please get away from, hi, welcome to my newest listing at 123 Banana Street, and get a little bit more creative, because we've got to grab the attention of that viewer so that they're not just scrolling by. What did we not talk about today, Jordan, that you want to talk about?
Well, I'm glad you did mention the reposting and collaborating. We try to add as much free value to our clients as possible as well. And so, for the longest time, I've been saying, hey, if you just tag us in your post, I've got an assistant who's monitoring our Instagram all day, and he'll share that to our stories. And we've got a reach now of about 5,000 followers, and most of them are other realtors in Kansas City. So the people that are probably going to have buyers that are going to be able to bring them to your listing. So, at the very least, if you're a client now getting media from us, I encourage you to tag us, because then we'll just post that and share that. I also encourage you to collaborate with us. We don't really have, strict requirements for our Instagram feed. We just like to help share people's work and their listings. So invite us to collaborate, and then we post every single day. And whoever's listing that is, we just automatically invite them to collaborate. Whether they like to or not, they have the option to accept it.
Well, yeah, it's free exposure, extra reach.
Exactly.
Yeah. And getting in front of, some of the potential co-op agents out there as well. I think that's a great idea. What else did we not cover that you want to talk about today?
Oh, man. I mean, we could kind of go down an AI rabbit hole if you wanted to, or talk about kind of the branding side of things. I don't know. What do you think, Kevin?
So let's talk for just a minute before we get to the rapid fire questions. Then let's talk about branding, because while everyone's geeking out right now about AI, my passion's still always been personal brands and branding. Number one mistake you see agents make when it comes to personal branding?
Yeah, again, kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's not sharing enough of your personal life. Your personal brand is going to inherently, be a part of your personal life, and that's how you're going to make connections with other potential clients. It's because they see Kevin and they know he likes to hike in Colorado, and they'll be like, I like to do that. Like, next time I need whatever service Kevin is providing, I'm probably going to reach out to that guy, or at least put him on my short list. I learned about kind of a really cool funnel idea in terms of a content strategy and what you should post. And so picture that upside down funnel that we can all recognize. And I think it goes 60, 30, 10. And the 60 was recommending you post 60% of your posts about stuff that has nothing to do with your profession. So if you're a realtor, 60% of your posts, they don't have to have anything to do with a listing or anything to do with a market update or anything to do with NAR or whatever crazy lawsuits going on. just post something about you, going to a sporting event, you checking out all the cool restaurants in KC, which really is just as simple as like, I'm already at a restaurant. Here's the KC steak I got. Check this out. Instagram. People are gonna be like, oh, that guy likes good food. I like good food. I could probably talk to him about that if we decided to work together. And then that middle layer, that 30%, that's when you can kind of start touching on the fact that you're a realtor, maybe doing some market stuff, maybe, just a day in the life of being a realtor, something that's still kind of fun and light. And that final 10% at the bottom of the funnel is really when you get into, hey, I'm a realtor and this is how I can add value to you as a buyer or seller. And specifically, this is how you get in contact with me, or this is my offer to you, like a free consultation or
A good call to action.
exactly a good CTA, precisely.
Yeah. From a personal branding standpoint then, so I love that you actually broke it down, because that's the question that everyone's going to ask is, okay, how much personal do I do? So 60%, which I think is just absolutely spot on. Does an agent have to do video if they want to grow their personal brand? This is opinion only, obviously, but
Yeah, in my opinion, it'd be yes, you do.
yeah.
You can only convey so much of your personality in a still image, whereas a video, it shows, I know some people are scared of this, but it shows your quirks. It shows your personality. It, shows the funny face you make when you hear a joke, or, it shows your laugh. And that ultimately is going to, a picture says 1,000 words. It's going to give you and your audience so much more information than any still image would. So whatever video means to you, I think you have to be utilizing it in today's world, just because it's that much more powerful in producing that information.
So when the rebuttal then is, Jordan, I don't want to do video because I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. I'm fat, whatever the case may be. Because I've heard, all the excuses and then some a million times myself. What do you say to that?
Oh, that's something I hear a lot, unfortunately, which makes me sad, because I just told someone over Facebook the other day, like, hey, we get all types of people on camera, all shapes and sizes, whatever. We don't care. Like, the important thing is that you're getting on camera and that you're at least trying it out. And I know that's way easier said than done. And so I would recommend just purely practicing. Like, just if the video is solely for you to look back on later, do something that, everyone has funny ideas when they're driving in the car or when they see something on TV that is like, oh, that would be a funny piece of content. I've got a list of 1,000 things that I will probably never, ever get to creating. But I would say go ahead and practice and create that and just see how the process works. See if you have any fun with it. And that will help build your confidence. The more you put yourself on camera, the easier it will get. And so even if you're not showing anybody that, like, first collection of videos, by that point, you'll probably have built up a significant amount of confidence that you'll be like, okay, I think I'm ready to try this. And then if you pair that with working with a team that is used to coaching new clients get on camera, it becomes a whole lot easier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that first video you make, you're going to hate.
It's never going to be good.
The second one, you're going to hate just a little bit less, but you got to put in the reps. You got to put in the work, and you don't go out and score 50 points in a basketball game without putting in the reps, right? And the same thing happens with video. You've got to put in the reps. You've got to go out there. You've got to practice. The more you do, the better you get.
100%.
So, when an agent's making video, not related to their listings or real estate per se, what do you say when they start crossing the lines of, this may not be appropriate type of content because it's going to hurt their personal brand? We see this all the time. We see this all the time in real estate, even, where people, I think, push the envelope a little too much. And I am all about, you've got to be different. You've got to stand for something for your personal brand, so on and so forth. But I do think there's a line between being professional and being, I'll just say it's stupid.
Yeah.
So have you run into those situations where people are wanting to do things and you're like, yeah, maybe you coach them on dialing it back a little bit?
Yeah, thankfully we haven't run into that too much. And there is definitely a fine line between being status quo and being just edgy enough that you kind of stand out. And I encourage people to kind of like butt up against that line. But I think if you're saying or doing or acting something out that's clearly designed to push buttons or rub a certain group of people in the wrong way, then that's probably a good sign that you have crossed the line. So I would say, as with anything you put out in the internet or into the world, just keep tastefulness in mind and try not to go too overboard.
When it comes to making videos outside of real estate, with everything that we've got in front of us and things that are coming tomorrow that we don't even know about in the AI world. So we talked about Google VO and how it's making some pretty amazing videos. Do you see that being the future, or do you still see a place where people need to see an agent's face and hear their voice?
I think there'll be a kind of synthesis of those two technologies, but I think AI aside, you have to show your own face and you have to put your own voice on video. And I don't think that will ever not be the case. I know there's some very cool tricks right now where you can clone your physical self, you can even clone your voice, and that's powerful. And that's able to replicate the amount of work that you can do as one person, by 100x easily, which is definitely something I would encourage people to discover and attempt and try to do. But there will never be, I think, a substitute to the authenticity of actually you on video and your actual voice explaining something or making people laugh or providing value.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. There's a big agent out of Houston, Texas. I'm not going to name her name, but a lot of agents follow her, and I know for a fact she's doing Hey Jen videos, and she's doing community type of Hey Jen videos where it's just her in the corner of the screen, and then she's got a kind of a green screen image or a video behind her that's playing as well. And I was looking at one yesterday morning, and it's one of Jason Pantana's clients, and I'm like, that's a Hey Jen video. It looks really good, but she doesn't blink. She doesn't blink at all.
Which is creepy.
Yeah. And so if your clients are seeing that and they start to notice this person's not blinking, that might be a red flag to dial that back until the technology advances just a little bit more.
Totally.
So, yeah. But yeah, I looked at that and it took me a minute, and I'm like, something's just not right. And then I'm like, she's not blinking. So yeah. All right. So let's start to wind this down just a little bit. We talked about how people can get a hold of you. Anything next year that you guys foresee that agents need to know about in your business? Whether it's you guys expanding, whether it's new technology, new services, anything like that you want to mention?
Next year for us is really going to be all about just dialing in what we're currently doing and just being able to do it at a higher quality, quicker and faster for our agents, and just kind of making the entire process from ordering your media to getting your media delivered just a smoother and much easier process, which I don't want to give away too much, but could have something to do with same day delivery. Not sure if I want to go down that route, but
you heard it right now. Same day delivery or your money back. No, I'm kidding.
The ability to do that is now becoming far easier thanks to some new technology. And I know that is one of our number one requested things. And at the moment, we just say, hey, we cannot do that. It requires, somebody to edit it after all our photographers get home at 5. And then it requires somebody to be on staff to quality check it and deliver it. And it's just too hard to commit and guarantee to a time that we can get that delivered by that I think would make it worth it. So for now, I encourage all your agents to plan ahead, get your photo shoot scheduled at least a day or two before the day that you want to go live. But there could be some very cool advancements in what we're able to do with our workflows coming in the next year that may be able to speed that timeline up a little bit.
Are you're doing other videos besides just listing videos with agents? If they need help with community related videos, those type of things, you've got them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we love to do some of those, what we just call branding videos if it's not a listing video. And neighborhood tours is one of our favorite kinds. And people will often do those for either neighborhoods that they have a nice high-end listing coming up in that they just want to be able to promote even further, or a neighborhood that they love to work in and want to kind of establish themselves as the expert in. We did a really fun one in Columbus Park recently that just I thought turned out really well. Got to show off the cool restaurants there like Garozzo's and the proximity to the riverfront and the current stadium. And that's just a great piece of content that you can use over and over and over again to just have as social media content, or to come to that seller that you're doing a listing presentation for to try to earn their business when they're like, do you know our neighborhood? Do you know how to sell a home in here? And that's just some further reinforcement and, social proof that you know what you're doing and that you're comfortable in that neighborhood.
Awesome. All right. Let's do quick rapid fire. I got to read these off here because I did not memorize these. These look like 7 or 8 questions here.
All right.
So, vertical or horizontal?
I'm going to go horizontal.
All right.
That's my kick right now. Getting back to basics, like I said.
And because there's someone out there that's got a perverted mind, I'm going to preference this by saying we're talking about video. 30 seconds or 3 minutes?
30 seconds.
Drone, must have or overrated?
Oh, definitely must have. Drone's my favorite.
Voiceover or music only?
Oh, that's actually kind of tough. I probably lean towards music only, but there is power in voiceover.
You've answered this one a bunch. Agent in shot or behind camera?
Agent in shot for sure.
Phone shot content acceptable or brand killer?
If you're doing videos for yourself, phone is 100% acceptable, and I encourage you to do so. If you're taking your own listing photos on your phone, you better know composition, or else it's
white balance.
Yeah, or else it's not gonna turn out well for your brand.
Yeah, white balance. Yeah, no. We'll just say if your photos all look yellow, it's kind of a giveaway you did it yourself.
Yep.
AI editing, threat or tool?
Tool.
Absolutely. Jordan, thank you so much. Ton of good information. Real quick again, website?
JordanWyattAshley.com.
All right, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Kevin, thanks for having me.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Guys, until next week, thank you for tuning into Modern Real Estate Marketing's podcast. We'll see you soon.